points which are AWS specific, like whatever IP you calculate, you have to, for example, your calculation comes up with 256 IP. Now Anjali can tell me, if we get 256 IP, we are talking about calculation in AWS. Eventually, how many IP will be available for use? You calculated 256 IPs.
255.
No,
So
not really.
all will
Fa-
be
First five IPs, I told you, five IPs will always be taken by AWS. So you will be able to use 256 minus 5 is equal to 251. Always keep in mind, whatever range you calculate, you cannot use five IPs. You have to subtract. So that is how your calculation would be. So we discussed this part, right? AWS reserve fast five IPs address in each subnet. Now in real world, you just know the concept and you will consider this fact in your calculation. That's it. You don't need to care about where these five IPs are being used. This is how AWS works. Okay, and it will not impact you. Just that you have to keep in mind your calculation. But if you appear for solution architect associate level certification, associate level, this can be one of the question. So they will ask you that you have the question, maybe if you need 30 usable IP in subnet, then you can say I will use /27. Answer is no, because /27, that means 32 minus 27 equal to 5, 2 power 5 is equal to 32, and you need 30 usable IP. Now when you have 32, that means anyway the moment you get 32 IPs, 5 IP will automatically be blocked, right? So 32 minus 5 is equal to
27.
and you need 30 IP. So your calculation is wrong. But this is not the right calculate. So what you will do, you will choose slash, I mean, so this is not the right answer because of the 32, 5 IP will be reserved. So you will have /26. /26 means 32 minus 26 is equal to 6, 2 power 6 equal to 64 IP. So even if we, AWS get away with or to take 5 IPs, we have enough IPs. So this would be the right answer. All right. Now I am going to this is a very nice hands-on I have planned. This will give you a lot of information. So I would suggest and I would tell you again and again that please concentrate on the hands-on. These hands-on are very interesting, and this is not merely whatever hands-on we do in networking. They are not merely hands-on. You will also get to know theory concept as well. Okay, but before that we have to VPC endpoint. We will cover VPC flow log, VPC endpoint. These are advanced level of concept. IPsec, VPN, VPC peering, NACLs. ठीक है, let me use the whiteboard. I will share few concept. Okay, and then we will move to the next our hands-on. Okay, so what is internet gateway? Internet gateway is nothing. Your IGW. You attach the internet gateway to VPC. Okay, IGW. But what is it? Before I explain internet gateway, let me give you real world scenario. For example, you have a web server. There's a subnet, and there's a EC2 instance. And inside this EC2 instance, a web server is installed. Now, this particular web server wants to communicate to internet. Okay, this is a public subnet. Public subnet. So without internet gateway, your communication, and for example, there's a user. This is internet. Using internet, user wants to access the web server or website, right? After all, web servers serve the web portal of website, right? So internet gateway is a gateway through which communication will take place to EC2 and vice versa. You're getting my point? So anyone on the internet can reach out to EC2 over HTTP protocol, HTTP, HTTPS. What we do, we will also learn route table. We will also learn route table. So we attach internet. So we have to add a route in the route table. and I will also share the basics of route table. So what we do, we write in the route table 0.0.0.0/0 to IGW. That means if this EC2 wants to reach out to internet, it will have to go through internet gateway. This is mentioned in route table. Okay, we'll discuss this part again, but I wanted to give slight idea about internet uh, gateway, because when I just do the hands-on, you will have a very proper idea. We will also learn the net and route table, but before that, since I'm going to do a hands-on on security group, so this is your VPC, and you have, for example, subnet, and this is your EC2, 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 EC2. So what we need to understand, there are different security layer. One security layer at the VPC level, one security layer at the subnet level, and one security layer at the EC2 level. So this is one security layer. This you can have second security layer, and third security layer would be at EC2. Are you getting my point? Why I'm telling you this? Because the third security layer, if you come from left to right, if you come from left to right, this would be first. But if you start from here, this would be the first security layer, right? So what would be the third security layer if we come from left to right? Anyone which is attached with EC2, it is your security group, right? So we are going to, though we discussed the security group in past, we are going to do a hands-on, a nice hands-on on EC2 on security group that would definitely add to your concept which you learned in previous session. I'm sure I shared the knowledge about security group in previous session. So if this is your EC2 instance, this is your EC2, right? You will attach security group, right? It is a firewall, and you will define the rule in the security group, and that's how you manage the traffic. So for example, there is no rule attached at all in security group. That means EC2 will not be accessible even if you attach the internet gateway. So what you need to understand, that there are different components at the different level, and vice versa. If you attach the security group, for example, in rule 1, there is a rule in security group, okay? And you write a rule that on port 80, allow traffic from across the globe from internet over HTTP protocol. Okay, we'll see this. So this rule you have, that on EC2 port 80, you are allowing traffic from across the globe. 0.0.0.0/0 means from everywhere over port HTTP protocol. That means a user here sitting wants to access EC2? No. Over HTTP, user wants to access the website, right? For example, you see newspaper, Times of India, Facebook, Insta. We are accessing the website, right? Right. So over the protocol, over HTTP or HTTPS, secure website. So he wants to see it. Will he be able to see it if we attach only security group this rule? The answer is absolutely not. We need internet gateway at the VPC level. Now we have internet gateway, but we don't have security group. User will be able to access the website? Tell me, yes or no?
No.
No, absolutely. So you are getting it. Just saying no is, it's really making sense, because we just discussed the different security layer. So this will definitely come handy when you resolve the issues, when you plan the architecture. All these components you should be very well versed with, right? So let's go through this hands-on, and then we'll see if you have any doubt. You can ask me question in between hands-on as well. But I'm sure after looking at this hands-on, you will have a very good idea uh, about security group. Okay. Just one second. Welcome back, everyone. So till now we have created VPC, we have created subnet, right? Now we are going to start by deploying EC2 instance in public subnet. Okay, I want your concentration here, because to make your concept strong, I will play around with security group and other components. All right, so you really need to concentrate in this lecture. What are we going to do, guys?
we are going to launch one EC2 instance in one of the public subnet. Please keep in mind, in public subnet. All right. We already discussed security group in theory lecture, but I will give you, again, insights on security group again. Okay. Let's get into the console and let's deploy EC2 instance where in public subnet. Let's consider this EC2 instance is going to host a web server which needs to accept the traffic from internet and send the reply back to the internet. All right. So let me get into the console, and here in EC2 you can see I am in the same region, North Virginia, that is called US East 1. Let me click on launch instance and let me give a name, EC2 public subnet. Okay, I have given a name just to, you can give any name. All right, I just gave the name EC2 which I'm going to launch in public subnet. Now here, let me see whether I have the script ready. I have the script ready. Alright, so AMI would be AWS Linux, right? Free tier, T2 micro, instance type, free tier, you all are aware. Key pair, I am not going to select or have key pair, I am going without a key pair. Alright, here comes the networking setting, guys. Alright, so if you click on edit, if you have the multiple VPC, you have to select the VPC where you really want to deploy your EC2 instance. We have only one VPC, that is demo VPC. This is nothing but this VPC. This VPC. Can you see my cursor? Alright, demo VPC. Now here is the subnet. For subnet, where should I deploy? Let me deploy in public subnet B, as I have mentioned in this diagram. Public subnet. I could have deployed in public subnet. Doesn't matter. Okay, but it has to be public subnet. So we have two public subnet A, public subnet B, private subnet A, private subnet B. So I have deployed in public subnet B. Okay. Now, auto assign public IP. This feature you have to manually make it enable to get the public IP. If you do not enable it, you will not get the public IP for what? For EC2 instance, right? That means in your subnet. But there is one option in VPC. You select public subnet, right? You can see public subnet A. You click on action, edit subnet setting, and here enable auto assign public IPv4 address and click on save. Okay, let me do it for public subnet B. Action, edit subnet setting, and then enable auto assign public IPv4 address. Alright, now let me refresh it. Let me again select it and let me refresh it. Let me select public subnet A and then again public subnet B. You can see automatically it comes as enable. Got it? So you need not to manually select the public IP. Now security group. What I'm going to do, guys, I am going to, let's create a new or maybe an existing one. Let me create a new security group and let me, by default, I shared this information in previous lecture. By default, you will get a name, launch wizard 1. Let me change it. Public subnet. No. Security group for EC2 in public subnet. Okay. I am not attaching any rule, guys, here. Okay, I have not attached any rule, and let me click on advanced details. What you can do here, you can select here V1 and V2 token. Even if you don't select, that's okay, because I'm not using metadata. All right, even I select V1 and V2 for this demo, that's perfectly okay. What I need to do, you're aware of this user data, right? I'm going to deploy one web server, Apache web server, with these simple commands, and we should get to see welcome to the web server in our web page when we type HTTP in the browser. Okay, let me click on launch instance. So in this diagram, we are done with this step. We have also attached the security group. Okay, I am not saying that which rule is there in the security group, but yes, security group is attached in the EC2 instance. You must be knowing that EC2 security group can be attached to EC2 instance. I am not talking about subnet. So this is pending. Let me refresh it. It will very soon, it will come on running state. Okay, you can see running state. It took 3-4 seconds. Why? Because you need to ask this question, that if you do not use the user data, you will see, and if you want to launch the same instance family, that means T2 micro, you will see your instance is coming up a little bit early, right? But when you use the user data, AWS takes some time to process user data, right? And that is why we took 4-5 seconds extra. It is running. Okay. Now you have this public subnet IP. I beg your pardon. IP address, public IP. Let me paste it here. What will happen, guys? What should happen? Nothing should happen. We should not invoke the web page. I mean, we should not get the web page. We will certainly get the error. And I believe you guys are aware why are we getting the error. So let's check the security group here, guys. In this, let me increase it a bit. Yes, so that you can see it properly. In the security, where is security? Just 1 second. Here in EC2, you need to check the security. This is the security, right? In the EC2 dashboard. And this is the security group we have attached. You can see security group for EC2. This is the name we gave, right? Let's open it. There is absolutely no rule for the security group. Okay, let's do one more thing, guys. So till now we tried to open the web page. It did not work. Let's do another thing. Let's try to get into the EC2. How do we get into the EC2? Using SSH, right? Right? Get into the EC2 means to log into EC2, and we are using EC2 connect method. I have, already given the information in previous lecture. Click on connect and EC2 instance connect. You are seeing two message here. Port 22 is not authorized. Instance is not in public subnet. Even though we created the EC2 instance in public subnet, we are getting not error but kind of message from AWS that instance is not in public subnet. But we have placed the instance in public subnet. I will tell you the reason here. Okay, so let me do one thing. Port 22 is not authorized. So even if I click on connect, will it work? Will it work? It will not work. Certainly it will not work. Establishing connection, eventually we will get the error. Okay, so by this, so you see, failed to connect to instance. That means we need to enable or attach the rules in security group. So here, let's close it. In security group, we are in security group. Can you see the security group? Edit inbound rule, and then add rules, SSH. Okay, port 22 for entire world, 0.0.0/0. That means for everyone. Save rule. Let's add another rule. This time add rules and then HTTP so that we can see the web page here. For everyone. For everyone means even you can use the public IP of this EC2 instance and try to launch the web page from your machine if you have the internet. That is the main purpose of 0.0.0. Now let's again get back to EC2 instance. Here in security group, inbound we have two rules. Okay, SSH and HTTP. SSH and HTTP, and outbound is enabled for all. That is why we call it stateful. You just need to take care of inbound, and outbound is automatically taken care by AWS, right? That is why we call it stateful. You need not to take care of outbound rules. All right. Now let's try to connect it again. So now the message is changed. Port 22 is open for all IP. Earlier it was there that SSH is not enabled. Now they are saying SSH enable, but it is open for all public IP address. That's okay. If you have the requirement, you can do it. I understand that it's a security breach, but sometimes we have to enable it for all, and especially when we do the demo, right? But instance again in not public subnet. Why? We have enabled the rules in security group, so it should work. Let's try to connect EC2 instance. Let's try to get into EC2 instance. Let's see what happens. Still we are getting error, guys. And what is the reason? You need to ask this question to yourself. I am closing this lecture for now, and in the next lecture I will show you why we are getting the message that your EC2 instance is not in public subnet. Alright, so I will see you guys in the next lecture. Thank you.
You got some idea? So basically we talked about EC2 instances. Oh, sorry, security group. You got it?
तो ये जो हमने आईपी ऑल आईपीस के लिए अलाउड किया था एसएसएच पे, तो इसे ही हम वाइट लिस्टिंग बोलते हैं ना सर?
देखो, वाइट लिस्टिंग का पर्पस क्या होता है हमको वो समझने की जरूरत है. वी ऑलवेज वाइट लिस्ट द आईपी फॉर वन पर्टिकुलर नेटवर्क. ये जो 0.0.0 किया है इसको वाइट लिस्टिंग बिल्कुल नहीं बोलते हैं, राइट? 0.0.0/0 means you are allowing traffic to be received over internet and can be sent from internet. That means if I create the virtual machine and if I attach a security rule 0.0.0 for HTTP over port 80 and port 80 is defined in the config file of web server. आपको ये क्वेश्चन भी आप पूछ सकते हो, why do we always give port 80 for HTTP? Because all the web server by default listen on port 80. अगर मैं config file में जाकर उस port 80 की जगह 90 कर दूंगा तो आप जो security group में आपने rule दिया हुआ है 80, वो it will not work. But 80 is a default port for web server, that is the reason. So it is not at all related with whitelisting. Whitelisting का purpose क्या होता है कि there are certain IPs you allow within your intranet. So you have to open those IP in the firewall of your intranet. That is called, we are whitelisting these IPs. So whatever resource are attached with those IPs should be able to accessible inside your intranet, inside your client network. जब भी हम क्लाइंट में के लिए काम करते हैं तो देयर मस्ट बी अ क्लाइंट नेटवर्क, राइट, फॉर सिक्योरिटी पर्पज, जब आप ऑफिस में जाते हो, राइट। तो वो वेबसाइट, वो वेब, इसको एक बहुत सिंपल एग्जांपल ये भी हो सकता है इन योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन बिल्कुल एग्जैक्टली रिलेटेड नहीं है, बट जस्ट टू अंडरस्टैंड, देयर आर सर्टेन वेबसाइट्स आर एक्सेसिबल, राइट, इन योर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, बट देयर आर सर्टेन वेबसाइट आर नॉट एक्सेसिबल। इसको भी वाइट लिस्ट से हम रिलेट कर सकते हैं, बिकॉज यू आर अलाउइंग देयर आईपी, राइट, टू वर्क विद इन द इंटरनेट ऑफ योर ऑफिस नेटवर्क, विद इन योर ऑफिस नेटवर्क।
हाँ, अभी क्या है ना, कुछ डेटाबेस ऐसे हैं जो हमें फ्रॉम होम से एक्सेस नहीं होते, हमें वो वाइट लिस्ट कराना पड़ता है अभी। तो दैट्स व्हाई आई आस्क्ड यू दिस क्वेश्चन।
नहीं तो बट होम से, ये तो बिल्कुल अलग अलग चीजों की बात कर रही हो आप, दीज आर टू डिफरेंट थिंग। होम से एक्सेस करना, होम नेटवर्क थोड़ी ना वाइट लिस्ट होगा, बिकॉज आफ्टर ऑल आप वीपीएन वगैरह यूज करते होगे,
हाँ, वीपीएन यूज करते हैं ऑफिस में, मींस।
और घर से जब एक्सेस करते होगे तो भी तो वीपीएन यूज करते होगे कि नहीं करते हो वीपीएन यूज?
सर, ये कंसेप्ट मुझे पता नहीं, पर अभी सिनेरियो ऐसा है ना कि ऑफिस से अगर वर्क करो तो सारे डेटाबेस एक्सेस हो जाते हैं।
हम्म।
लेकिन घर से अगर उसी पे काम करना हो तो एडमिन को बार बार उसको मेरा जो घर का आईपी एड्रेस है ना, वो वाइट लिस्ट करने को देना पड़ता है।
एब्सोल्युटली, सो यू आर टेलिंग द राइट थिंग। यू आर आस्किंग योर घर का आईपी, वो तो आपके घर का आईपी नहीं है, आपके आपका जो भी सर्विस प्रोवाइडर है उसका पब्लिक आईपी है वो,
हाँ।
उसका आईपी है वो, यू आर गेटिंग माय, तो ठीक है ना, तो वाइट लिस्ट तभी तो आप, अभी तभी आप अपने घर से एक्सेस कर पा रहे हो, वो वाइट लिस्टिंग हटा देंगे तो आप नहीं कर पाओगे, इट्स क्वाइट सिंपल। सो डेटाबेस वाइट लिस्ट नहीं हो रहा है, डेटाबेस इज ऑलरेडी अवेलेबल इनसाइड योर कंपनीज नेटवर्क, right? You are whitelisting your network so that you can get into an you so that company's network can allow you,
हम्म।
right? So you are not whitelisting the database is already there, you are whitelisting your network IP.
हाँ, तो फिर उसके लिए वो सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप में जाके इन्वॉल्व रूल्स चेंज करने पड़ रहे हैं ना। अगर मेरे
अगर वो AWS में सी, नहीं नहीं, उसमें एक चीज समझने की जरूरत है कि सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप में भी कर सकते हैं, यू आर राइट, यू आर राइट, बट आपको ये भी देखना पड़ेगा कि आप घर से जब एक्सेस कर रहे हो तो वहां पर मुझे एक बार आर्किटेक्चर देखना पड़ेगा, विदाउट लुकिंग एट द आर्किटेक्चर आई कैन नॉट सी। बट जस्ट टू आंसर अ क्वेश्चन, सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप में चेंज करने से क्या हो जाएगा? हाँ हो जाएगा, बट सिर्फ वही करने से होगा क्या? आंसर इज आई डोंट नो, आई नीड टू सी द आर्किटेक्चर। I want to see where your EC2 instance is placed, and I would like to see the entire architecture. As I mentioned, EC2 is the last layer of security. I mean, security group is the last layer of security which is attached with the EC2, right? But there are other security layers. VPC के पहले भी आपकी नेटवर्क फायरवॉल में, कंपनी की नेटवर्क फायरवॉल में क्या प्रोविजन किया है उन्होंने, हमको वो सारी चीजें देखनी पड़ेंगी। बट यस, अगर आपकी एप्लीकेशन पब्लिक के लिए ओपन है और पब्लिक के लिए फॉर एग्जांपल ओपन नहीं करना है, आप एक पर्टिकुलर आईपी देते हो तो आप कर सकते हो, यू आर राइट, कर सकते हो आप एक्सेस, बट डोंट से दिस इज वाइट लिस्टिंग, से यू आर अलाउइंग ट्रैफिक। वाइट लिस्ट जो एक टिपिकल टर्म है, इट इज स्पेसिफिक टू द ओपनिंग द आईपी फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर नेटवर्क, राइट? तो यहाँ पर सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप में चेंज करके यू कैन अलाउ, या यू कैन अलाउ, बट दैट्स नॉट द ओनली वे, दैट्स व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू से। जब तक मैं आर्किटेक्चर नहीं देख लेता तब तक मैं कमेंट नहीं कर पाऊंगा। एनीवे, तो ये वाले इससे कुछ आइडिया आया होगा। नाउ लेट्स मूव ऑन टू सम मोर कंसेप्ट। हमने अभी इंटरनेट गेटवे देखा है। अभी इंटरनेट गेटवे जो हमने देखा है वो अ, हम उसके पहले हम एक और हैंड्स ऑन देखते हैं राउट टेबल का, या उसके पहले मैं एक थ्योरी एक्सप्लेन करता हूँ कि व्हाट इज राउट टेबल, राउट टेबल कहाँ पर होती है, राउट टेबल की इंपॉर्टेंस क्या होती है, वो सब हमको देखने की जरूरत है। बट यू फर्स्ट गो थ्रू दिस हैंड्स ऑन, okay, and then we will talk about the basics of route table, okay?
So Anirudh, I have two questions before we
Hmm.
move forward. First
Hmm.
is about the rules in security group. So I remember like outbound traffic is already allowed by default, like whatever we decide in inbound, वो outbound में भी आ जाता है, right, by default.
Yeah, correct.
And we always need to configure rules. जैसे आपने वो आप कनेक्ट नहीं कर पा रहे थे just because कि हमने rules define नहीं किए थे security group में. That's why.
Sorry, क्या बोला आपने?
So we were not able to get into the EC2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Absolutely,
basically,
yes, absolutely.
so we always need to configure rules in security group, right?
राइट, बट उसके पहले एब्सोल्युटली 100% राइट, बट उसके पहले हमें ये भी देखना है कि मैंने आप लोगों को ये बताया था कि यहाँ पर 3 लेवल जो सिक्योरिटी होती है
That's right.
वो हमको देखना बहुत ज़रूरी है। अगर आप अकेला ये करने से, और वो मैं हैंड्स ऑन में करके दिखाऊंगा आप लोगों को, और ज़्यादा होगा तो हम एक लाइव हैंड्स ऑन भी कर लेंगे। उसमें मेरा पॉइंट क्या है कि सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप, व्हाई डिड आई टेल यू कि देर आर डिफरेंट सिक्योरिटी कॉन्फ़िगरेशन एट डिफरेंट लेयर। सो दिस इज योर वीपीसी, दिस इज योर वीपीसी। लेट्स मेक अ बिग
Even
वीपीसी।
you made the traffic like 0.0.0 accessible to EC2 instance, but वो
या
VPC के अंदर था, इस वजह से वो access नहीं हुआ, right?
नहीं, मैं बताता हूँ।
Okay.
For example, there is only one subnet. It is possible that you have created one subnet. It is very well possible. And it's a public subnet. Okay? Inside VPC. In this public subnet, you have EC2 instance. Now I have attached security group in this EC2 instance, which is inside subnet, which is inside VPC. जो security group का rule है, that is allow 0.0.0.0/0 on port 80, right, for HTTP traffic. Okay? अभी मैं इसको रिमूव कर देता हूँ क्योंकि we have limited space. So this is the rule we have defined in security group. Now my question is there is a user sitting, maybe this particular, and outside there's a region, and this region is US East 1. So your VPC inside US East 1, VPC is defined in US East 1. Now this user is sitting in Mumbai and using the internet, and there's a website hosted using the internet. ये वेबसाइट को एक्सेस करना चाहता है, ये इसका लैपटॉप है यूजर का, ये इसका लैपटॉप है। इसने यूआरएल डाला वेबसाइट का https example.com. Now my question is, can user see the web page? Can user access the web page of example.com? Because this website is hosted in this EC2.
Maybe no.
Not maybe, no. Absolutely not.
Yep.
Absolutely not. Why? Because you have just taken care of the innermost security part. You have opened it. So we need to keep in mind, you have security group and rule defined for EC2, but you have not attached internet gateway here. There is no route table defined. Okay. So in route table, and we will discuss what is route table shortly. We'll discuss. So traffic from internet gateway, it will go to route table, which is attached with the subnet. This route table attached with the subnet, this subnet. Okay. So here rule will be that if traffic comes from EC2 and if traffic wants to go to internet, that means 0.0.0.0/0, it will have to go through IGW. So route table basically help to route the traffic to internet gateway, and then internet gateway it will reach to user. Are you getting my point? Okay. Now let's understand one more thing, that you defined everything, but you don't define the security group. Will you be able to access? Answer is no. So that means you require both security group and internet gateway. Rules has been defined. That's how different layer of security. That's why we can make it very secure. Correct? Yes? So
Yes.
इसका थोड़ा आइडिया आया ना? थोड़ा पूरा आइडिया, जब पूरा नेटवर्किंग कंप्लीट हो जाएगा तब इसका ज्यादा बेटर आइडिया आएगा, बट आई एम ट्राइंग टू सिंप्लीफाइंग इट एज मच एज आई कैन.
Okay, so basically internet gateway is an essential part of any
Absolutely,
architecture.
absolutely, an internet gateway is attached with VPC. Security group is attached with EC2. We will also learn NACLs, network access firewall. जो NACLs भी हम उसमें पढ़ेंगे. That is subnet, and route table is also very very critical. You just watch my hands on, okay, and then we'll talk about theory. I'm doing wise up, rather than explaining the theory first and then I can let you watch the hands on. I am just asking you to watch the hands on and then we'll discuss the theory. You first visualize it, okay? Because मैं कितनी भी डायग्राम बना लूँ, creating the diagram, explaining is always nice, बट मैं चाहता हूँ कि इसके लिए पहले हैंड्स ऑन बहुत ज़्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है. लेट्स गो थ्रू वन हैंड्स ऑन एंड देन we'll see if time permits. Otherwise, we will go through the theory part of internet gateway, net gateway, route table, and then we have VPC peering, transit gateway, and many more things. I think we will take at least 2 more sessions to complete the VPC, or maybe 3 sessions. Okay, so you watch this hands-on. In previous example, I also talked about route table. Okay, so you remember route table. Let's look at this hands-on.
Hey everyone. So in last lecture, we created EC2 instance in one of the public subnet, right? Public subnet B. You can see in the diagram. But in spite of attaching the security group with proper rules, that means 2 rules, SSH rule to get into EC2 instance, to connect to EC2 instance, to log into EC2 instance, and HTTP so that we can invoke the web page using HTTP protocol. So neither I was able to open the web page, for example, website. Web server means website, right? Nor we were able to connect to EC2 instance. Did you think by yourself what is the reason?
Now, this will give you answer. I hope you would have seen the first hands-on properly. I was looking here and there. I did not, just look at the screen. But what was there in the first hands-on? Can you please tell me what was there in the first hands-on? What did we do in the first hands-on? Because these 2, 3, 4 hands-on are related. Because you see, we created this diagram in the previous lecture, and going forward in next couple of hands-on, you will see different components are emerging in this hands-on. So we are defining, we are just going through all the key components in of networking, right? So what did we do in previous? हमने क्या किया था previous hands-on में और क्या रिजल्ट था उसका?
EC2 के लिए सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप हमने ऐड किया था उसमें, एंड उस पर फिर हमने एक सबनेट क्रिएट किए थे.
नहीं नहीं, मेरा पॉइंट ये है कि सबनेट वगैरह तो मैंने पहले ही क्रिएट कर लिए थे. ये इसके लिए आपको लास्ट सेशन देखना पड़ेगा, राइट? बट माय पॉइंट इज, सो सी, रीजन के अंदर वीपीसी डिफाइन, हाउ टू डिफाइन, एंड देन 4 सबनेट इन 2 डिफरेंट अवेलेबिलिटी जोन. वी सॉ इन प्रीवियस सेशन, लास्ट सेशन में देखा था हमने, डे बिफोर यस्टरडे. आज के सेशन में अभी हमने क्या किया? We created one EC2 instance in one public subnet. Okay. Okay. And then we created one security group. We attached that security group with this EC2. And then we defined 2 rules. One rule for HTTP, allow all the internet traffic using the HTTP protocol over port 80 for this EC2 instance. And then SSH. Anyone on the internet can log in this EC2 instance, right? But what was the result of that particular previous hands-on? We were unable to access the web page and we were unable to log into EC2 instance in spite of defining the security group. Correct?
Right.
Yes.
अभी क्लियर हो रहा है ना मैंने क्यों बोला है हैंड्स ऑन देखना? क्योंकि मैं सीक्वेंशियली इसमें वो सारे कंपोनेंट कवर करने वाला हूं जो वी मस्ट बी वेल वर्स्ड विथ. ठीक है ना? इधर तक क्लियर है? शुड आई प्ले द
Yes.
हैंड्स ऑन? ओके.
Yes.
तो अभी हमने सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप डिफाइन किया EC2 इंस्टेंस में, जो कि एक पब्लिक सबनेट में है. बट स्टिल नथिंग इज हैपनिंग. ना हम वेबसाइट जो इसमें हमने वेब पेज बनाया था ना यूजर डेटा लेकर, ना वो एक्सेस कर पा रहे हैं, ना हम EC2 में लॉग इन कर पा रहे हैं. कहाँ से नहीं कर पा रहे हैं हम? कहाँ से नहीं कर पा रहे हैं हम?
ब्राउजर.
ब्राउजर दैट मीन्स, ऑफ कोर्स यस ब्राउजर, बट ये जो यूजर है ये हम हैं, राइट? ये यूजर है, ये इंटरनेट में है, ओवर इंटरनेट. वो नहीं कर इंटरनेट, दैट मीन्स यू कैन नॉट एक्सेस इट, I cannot access it. Shreya from US cannot access it. Right? This is what we are trying to do, but we are unable to do it. अभी वो हम hands on continue करते हैं इस hands on.
If not, then I will tell you the reason. This is AWS region, right? And I am using internet to connect to this EC2 instance. I'm using internet to reach out to web page using this IP address, right? When you read the Times of India or any newspaper, you use the internet. And then you try to reach out the Times of India website. You try to reach out to Facebook or Instagram using instant, but eventually you want to hit their web server. That is why you extract the web page, right? But here, there is absolutely no connectivity for this EC2 instance with the internet, and that is why we need internet gateway. We need to create internet gateway and we need to attach internet gateway to the VPC. All right. So let's create the internet and let's see what happens then. Let me close it. Let's not close it. Here, Let's create, where is the VPC? Let me type VPC here. As soon as you are in the VPC dashboard, to your left, you can see Internet Gateway. Click on Internet Gateway. Click on Create Internet Gateway. Demo IGW. Okay. You can also give the tags. I'm not, using any tag. Click on Create Internet Gateway. But that's not enough. You have just created Internet Gateway. Now what you need to do, guys? You need to click on Action. Let me again click on Internet Gateway. Select Internet Gateway. You can see the state detached. Click on Action. Click on Attach to VPC. We have only one VPC, and here we go. Internet Gateway is attached. So yes, we have attached the Internet Gateway, and now we should be able to connect to EC2 instance using Internet Gateway. Let me show you what we are trying to do here. So you are somewhere here. You are somewhere here. Okay, this is you. Let me just, it's too thick. Okay, so you are here, and using the Internet Gateway, you are using this laptop or desktop, and using the internet, you connect to Internet Gateway and you connect to EC2 instance. Will it happen or not? Will it a foolish idea or not? Let's check this out. Delete it. So let's get back to the EC2 instance connect, and let me refresh it. Let's see whether I can connect to EC2 instance or not. It is not working, and it will not work, guys. Alone Internet Gateway will not help you out. What you need to do? So you need to create a route table, right? And then you will have a router, and that is how you will make the connection to Internet Gateway. We are going to create a route table, and after that I will quickly give you the idea of this logical component called router. In real world, in real networking, not in AWS, you have a router. You would have seen in your in college days router. But here we are talking about logical router. Okay, let's get into the console and let's create the route table. So here, let me VPC, and here is the route table. So I showed you guys that in VPC, when you create the VPC, you come up with a default route table or main route table, right? So you will find main route table, but I'm not going to touch it. Generally, we should create a custom route table. I can make the change in main route table as well, but that's not a good practice, I would say. Okay, so let me click on route table and let me create a route table. Let me give a name, route table for public subnet. Okay, so the key difference between this route table and security group, route table you are going to attach with what? You are going to attach this route table with these two public subnet. Okay, not the EC2 instance, these two public subnet will be attached with this route table. Okay, so let me do it. Let me get back to the console. Here, route table for public subnets. Okay, VPC, we have the same VPC, and let's click on route table. But is that enough? Absolutely not, because still there is no connection between Internet Gateway and route table. You have to connect these two components. Okay, so what you need to do in your route table, what you need to do, you can see route table, our route table, where is that? Just click on route table for public subnet, click on it, and then here, subnet association, you click on edit subnet association, and you have to select two public subnet, subnet A public subnet and public subnet B. Okay, so now you have attached these two subnet. Is that enough? No, we need to do one more step. How would route table reach out to Internet Gateway? Or how would, in other words, your traffic reach out to Internet Gateway? Internet Gateway is the entry or exit point of your VPC for your traffic. Okay, so what we need to do, we have attached the subnet. Now we need to click on route, and then we need to edit route. Okay, add route. Where is the destination, guys? Our destination is internet. This is just one second. This is our destination. This is your destination. Internet is a destination. So what you will do here, internet, that means 0.0.0.0.0, that is your destination. But this destination, this internet destination, just let me, I'm taking too much time, my apology. but yeah, this is the destination, internet destination. Through what? Through internet gateway, right? So what we will do here, we will write the internet gateway we have created, IGW. If you type internet gateway, right? And what is the internet gateway? This is the internet gateway demo IGW we created, right? Save. Are we good or not? Let's check this out. Let me refresh it and let's see what happens next. Is our concept right or not? You can see we are able to connect to EC2 instance. All right. So that means everything is properly defined. From the internet, you are going to, you are able to hit the EC2 instance. Let me quickly talk about this router. Can you see this router? So router here in this diagram is a logical component that performs routing function within VPC. We have not created it. I'm just telling you, you will always find this router in AWS, when you see the diagram, AWS diagram, but you don't create it. It is a logical component. So behind the scene, it works. So when a resource, I'm talking about this router, when a resource within a subnet, when I say resource, that means EC2 instance within a subnet, that means it is within the subnet, wants to communicate another resource, right, or send traffic to the internet. EC2 instance wants to send traffic to the internet or want to receive the traffic to the internet. So if it wants to send, EC2 wants to send the traffic to the internet, it sends the traffic to the router, and then router consult the route table to determine the appropriate path for the traffic based on the destination IP. So for example, without taking further time, if the traffic is destined for the internet, for example, if traffic is destined to the internet, the router directs to internet gateway, which serve as the entry or exit point. I told you guys, right? For the, so basically, just to summarize it without taking further time, router will route the traffic to the internet, and once internet traffic, when it intended to come to the VPC, it will come to the internet gateway to the router will decide to read the route table, and based on route table reading, it will further forward the traffic. Alright guys, let's quickly do one more thing and then we can close this lecture. Let's quickly select the IP address. Here, where is the IP address? This is my public subnet. Where is the EC2 instance? This is my EC2 instance, and this is the public IP. Can you see it? This public IP. Let me paste it. HTTP protocol. Let's see what happens. Site cannot be reached. Let me refresh it. Let me see why it is not coming up. So after waiting for 1 minute, let me again pick the public IP of this EC2 instance and let me paste it here, and let's see whether it works or not. It is working. So we are able to see welcome to the web server. That means HTTP traffic is working and also SSH is working. Okay guys, so I'm sure now you got the concept of route table, internet gateway, and how traffic travels from EC2 instance to the internet. And
I think you was it so overwhelming, or you got some idea?
Definitely got some idea.
Okay,
So
great.
router always comes into picture whenever we talk about route table, right? Since it's a
So
logical component.
even it's a logical component, but it works behind the scenes. So even if you keep aside the router, what you must be aware is route table, and that's it. So although I discuss with route table because router, because sometimes, not every time, in AWS document you'll get to see router, but you can ignore it as well. You have learned the concept of router, and now you decide, now you understand that every time route table will decide where I should send the traffic. If traffic is coming from EC2, right? And if it is intended for the internet, it will be decided by route table. Okay. So and if traffic is needs to be sent locally, you ask one question. What was your question? Your question was within one VPC. Within one VPC, there are two subnet. Can they communicate with each other? Answer is absolutely yes. How? Because of the route table. You will
Okay.
always get to see one default route in route table.
So we'll
One
always
default.
have to configure that route table. By default, it will not communicate, right?
No. By default, route always comes in route table, and route table automatically gets deployed when you create the VPC. But sometimes we create custom route table. So one route table will always come when you create the VPC with the default route. Are you getting my point? Without default route, the different subnet within the VPC cannot talk to each other. Okay, so that's how AWS function. But yes, अगर दो सबनेट हैं तो उसमें आपको ना नेट गेटवे ना इंटरनेट गेटवे किसी की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी, ना आपको इंटरनेट की जरूरत इंटरनेट पे होगा। बट होता क्या है कि यहाँ पर आपका सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप की जरूरत आपको डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा। व्हाट आई एम ट्राइंग टू टेल यू, जस्ट वन सेकेंड, पेन कहाँ है, सी, and then we'll close this lecture. What happens in your VPC? This is your VPC, right? This is your VPC. This is your two subnet, subnet 1, subnet 2. Now there would be a default route table. इसमें अगर VPC की रेंज है, आप हमने डिफाइन किए VPC की रेंज, फॉर एग्जांपल 10.1.0.0/16. सो राउट टेबल में आप ऑलवेज यू विल फाइंड वन एंट्री इन राउट टेबल। ऐसा एक एंट्री मिलेगी लोकल करके लिखा रहेगा उधर पे, और ये रहेगा 10.1.0.0/16, द सेम रेंज ऑफ। इसका मतलब ये रहता है कि दीज टू कंपोनेंट कैन टॉक टू ईच अदर। ओके, सो इट्स अ डिफॉल्ट एंट्री। बट अगर इस सबनेट में एक EC2 इंस्टेंस है, इस सबनेट में भी एक EC2 इंस्टेंस है, तो आपको सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप में एंट्री देनी ही पड़ेगी। इन फॉर एग्जांपल दिस सबनेट wants to talk to this subnet, that means this EC2 instance wants to talk to this EC2 instance, इसके सिक्योरिटी ग्रुप में फिर भी डिफाइन करना ही पड़ेगा। ओके, सो ये इंटरनल एक सिक्योरिटी दी है AWS में। थोड़ा क्लियर हुआ मैंने क्या बोला?
Yes, I
Yeah.
think so.
So going forward in next two session, it would be you will have better concept. But my point is, so one miss from my side, I still did not upload it. But today I will definitely upload it in few hours, because it takes 1.5 hour for the processing. Last time because Zoom had some issue, but I will do it today itself. All the recording, 3 sessions recording, and you must complete the recording and try to do the hands-on. Let me know if in case of any question, and then we'll proceed for various more concept. Okay.
Just one more question.
Yeah.
As we say in EC2, so we know security group comes by default with EC2, right?
No,
So,
not at all. No. Security
I
group.
mean, whenever we create EC2 instance, we have option to configure security group, right? Like by default, we have to do some configuration of security group.
Yes, you have to. It is not necessary to attach. If you don't attach security group, in that case, yeah, you would still be able to launch EC2 instance. But yes, we attach security group because there would be a purpose of that EC2 instance, right? And that purpose can be fulfilled when we access it. Now, if we want to access EC2, we need to go through security group, and that's why we create security group.
Right. So similarly, when we talk about for VPC, we have internet gateways, right? Like security groups.
Absolutely, but internet gateway, when you create the VPC, you don't get the internet gateway, right? You
Yes.
have to create the internet gateway based on the demand. If you really want public, sometimes we don't create internet gateway because we don't, because we never want to have internet access for our application. So you have to create the internet gateway, and merely creating the internet gateway will not help. First step, internet gateway you create, and second step, you attach that internet gateway in that VPC. Because we are doing the hands-on in personal account. हम personal account पे कर रहे हैं जहाँ पर हमारा एक ही VPC है, and client side तुम्हारे एक ही account में कई सारे VPCs हो सकते हैं, for example 3 VPC. So you have to decide which VPC you want to attach internet gateway with.
Okay.
Okay, all right. So we'll connect in